Welcome to the Barker Podcast Collection.
Welcome to the Not Watching Podcast. My name's Rob Howard, and this week I'm joined by
John Martin
and Marcus Hurley.
You can contact us on email at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. So, we're well into the swing of the early part of 2016 TV schedule, I suppose. And the biggest thing that kicked off the year really would be the return of the X-Files. I think we've all watched it now, all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we think about the return of Mulder and Scully?
I loved it. I just thought it was I thought it was so great to see him on the screen again, and I just thought it's amazing. They don't look like they've changed that much. They have, obviously, but it was so cool.
Well,
Scully, less so than Mulder.
It's kind of funny how they used the original credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was amazing.
It's so old, but it's perfect though, isn't
Yeah.
it? You can't change it now.
I love how they
Yeah.
didn't change the theme as well. It was just so nostalgic. It's just-
Oh yeah, definitely the original music and all that. So it was only 6 episodes. I don't know if it was probably long enough to deal with the range of X-Files that we got, because it kind of veered from sort of full-on horror in places to like full-on comedy.
yeah.
The Lizard Man or
and
the Man
full-on
Lizard
fan
or
service.
whatever.
Yeah, like the monster who turned into a man.
And it was
As
so
it turned
funny
out.
as well. It was just like, I didn't want to do this. I felt compelled. I had to go and get a job. It's just like...
Yeah, the phone store.
I thought,
Yeah, so-
like you're saying about how it was a little short, I felt especially the last episode, if that had got stretched out over 2, because it was just felt really compressed. Like we're just jumping about, and like Mulder's interactions with Cancer Man in particular, that should have been longer, more intimate kind of thing, rather than, we've got to do this exposition, and now we're going to go back to this, and he's been saved, right, and now Scully's with him, saving him. So
It would have been a 2-part season finale if it was the old style, wasn't it?
yeah, I thought it could have done that, and the whole the disaster unfolding as well, that could have happened. That could have been played out a bit more. I think it was very much like, that guy, he's got what was it, anthrax?
Anthrax, yeah.
And then like a couple of scenes later, like the entire planet's dying. Just felt a bit rushed.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of bookended it, didn't they, with that sort of... They set the story up as a kind of... It's all a bit sort of conspiracy style, like all of the whole alien stuff was all just a ruse for people to take control.
Yeah.
And then they kind of left that alone mostly for the rest of it, and then kind of came back to it at the end. But it's still quite a lot to do in like 2 40-minute episodes, I guess. Which
it was pretty cool though. Like I did really enjoy it, but I just would have liked to have had more of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like the stuff like the spaceship, the craft that they built that could disappear. That was so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to see a bit more of that, and maybe a bit more like explanation of how the alien technology worked and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think we are going to get more.
10 episodes would have been good rather than 6.
Yeah.
Would have been a nice way to polish it off.
Yeah, well, I think this was a little bit of an experiment, really, just to see if it would work. I mean, there's no doubt that Gillian Anderson... I mean, they're both great coming back together. They've always had that chemistry. But I think Gillian Anderson is just a phenomenal actress. She's aged incredibly well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to get a poster of her for my wall, like how she is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Tim from Space.
I think so.
Like, I think I used to have one when I was about 14 or whatever, when they first came out. She's still poster worthy if I still have posters.
Yeah.
I definitely had that copy of FHM where she was voted sexiest woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
She could probably do another cover of it, actually. Well deserved.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I'm sure she still does.
He said, hoping.
Yeah. Cool.
Sorry about this to our female listeners.
Well, she's a very empowered person. She's awesome.
Oh, let's not go there again.
No. I mean, did you see the whole thing with the? Did you see the whole thing with the Daily Mail? And they hired a surgeon to basically poke into how she was supposedly had Botox. Her reply was, "If this wasn't complete bollocks, it would have made my day."
Yeah, that was class. I think I retweeted that. Yeah, respect, absolutely. So yeah, anything else about X-Files? It was quite a lot to sort of take in over 6 weeks.
I couldn't remember who the woman was at the last episode, and I forgot that she'd gone off to become essentially like the helper to Cancer Man. Because I couldn't remember who she was properly. That's why it had to give us all the flashback of it as well.
Is she from the original series then? Yeah. Oh, because I recognise her from like other stuff.
Yeah, no, she's definitely I don't remember if she was an agent, or whether she was an FBI agent, or whether she was with who's the other guy, Robert Patrick, when he took over. Or whether she turned
I didn't
on
watch
him.
Any of that
I
at
didn't
all.
either. I lost interest at that point because I thought, well, X-Files without Mulder and Scully is like X-Files without Mulder and Scully. Just don't watch it.
When they did the younger versions of Mulder and Scully, like when I realised what was going on, what was it?
Agent Einstein.
Agent Einstein. I was like, oh god, they're doing that. And then
Miller?
by the end of the episode, I was totally involved. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Actually, this is quite fun. Fuck it.
Well, that's her off of 6 Feet Under, which I was quite a fan of. Yeah, I always like watching her in stuff. She was in some other like 2-part thing a few years back that was quite good. Can't remember what that was, like some weird sci-fi thing, but can't remember what it was.
Oh, the other thing as well, the two kids, the two little psychic mutant kids, they're coming back right, next series blatantly.
Oh, they definitely left that open, yeah.
Yeah. Once they've been fully trained up as X-Men, they'll be back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got to say, though... Yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
No, go on. Go on, mate.
I was just going to say, though, that normally it would really bother me if, like, I had forgotten the continuity of something. But I think because this has come back after such a long time, I was just sort of so wrapped up in it being around that it didn't bother me that I'd completely forgotten that they'd had a kid and all that. And I vaguely remember Scully getting abducted at some stage, but I can't even remember when I stopped watching it. Like,
but I guess as far as the lore of it goes, in the first episode, Mulder discovers that everything that he's ever learned about the extraterrestrials and stuff was a lie. So at that point, you know, when you said, do I have to catch up and watch the old ones? I was like, no, not really, because, you know, everything that you found out was bullshit anyway, so doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I just looked on IMDb, actually. The title of the first and last episodes is My Struggle Part 1 and 2. Yeah. So literally that was bookends, with some crazy
stuff thrown in between
diversions all the way through the rest of it.
I love it because it was literally like a condensed series of the X-Files. I mean, you know, you got all the crazy weirdness. You had the creepy guy, you had the creepy aliens, you had all of the, you know, you had the people.
Oh, the mushroom trip.
Oh god, that was one of the most fantastic things on TV. Especially when you found out it was a placebo and you're like, what?
It wasn't, was it? I mean, like, I know she said it was, but I think that was just to get him out of trouble, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think Mulder's crazy enough that he might just go off his nut.
Yeah. I think
cool fight scene as well.
Oh, yeah.
In the last episode. That was pretty badass.
I think that and Bruce Campbell's trip in Evil Dead was like...
Oh, yeah.
Someone should splice those two together.
Yeah. They should high-five
the award
midway.
for most tripped-out sequences.
Yeah.
In fact, if they walked past if they actually filmed Bruce Campbell in that sequence and they high-fived passing each other whilst they're in the tunnel, that would have just been amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, for me, it was the little Easter egg where you saw the lone gunman pop up when he was in the strip club. I was just like, yay! Because they're never going to come back in the series because unfortunately they were killed off. But it was just so nice such a brilliant way of bringing back characters that were at one point really central to the X-Files as well. In a way that you kind of saw it as a nice Easter egg and thought, oh my God, that's so cool. But it had no impact on the story whatsoever. There was no issue of how are we going to write these people in? How are we going to keep them in? Are they just going to go off? No, they're a hallucinogenic dream. That's about it.
I guess the real kind of question really is, was there enough going on for it to be more than just a nostalgia fest? And are we interested in what would come next?
I think it kind of did some things really well, because that episode where Mulder was tripping balls, I thought that was really clever because it had such a good subtext on society and how we've become as people. When you had like the nurse going on her rant about all these people coming over here, taking our jobs, blowing us up and all that, and you think up until before that point where she was going to kill the guy in the hospital bed, she was just any old character, a normal character. She was nobody, an extra.
She was the least believable character in the entire series.
I know, but I think the whole point...
I'm just going to kill him, fuck it.
Yeah, but I think the whole point about that is to show how ridiculous people have kind of become in their attitudes. I think it was like a nice little stab at society. It was like, look, this is how ridiculous you are, to the point where, you're almost on tinfoil hat territory.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they chose to use that, because I was a bit disappointed when I saw the whole suicide bomber thing. I was thinking, oh, is it really going to be that, or is it going to be them? Is it going to be aliens? And then it was them, and I was like, oh dear. But then they used it as a message board for lots of little subtle nuances on society, which I thought was quite nice, and made me piss myself laughing when Mulder went looby.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a brilliant way. It's just it broke the episode. It was like, otherwise it would have been quite grave and quite dark and, And then that happened.
I love the music in that scene, in the trip scene. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Cool. All right then. What else have we all been watching then?
Better Call Saul?
Walking Dead? Better Call Saul?
I haven't.
Marcus hasn't caught up on this yet, have you?
I've not caught any of it yet. No, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, we won't go into specifics too much then, but I watched the third episode earlier today.
I haven't seen it yet. I've only seen the first two.
Yeah. No, well, the first two were good. The whole squat cobbler thing was...
Hashtag squat cobbler.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I follow Squat Cobbler on Twitter now.
Are you tempted to submit your own entry to the craze, or?
No, it's just pictures of pies mostly.
Oh, is it?
And that's all you really need to know. Yeah. Although apparently the term Squat Cobbler was actually coined by Bob Odenkirk himself, because he was insistent that they had a name for it.
Like what's it called? Urban Dictionary, right? It's like the Urban Dictionary definition.
I think it might be just something they came up with.
No, that's what I mean, but it sounds like one, like squat cobbler. Yeah. Could be, I don't know, Alabama sledgehammer, or don't Google that, by the way, folks.
Yeah, it was Hoboken squat cobbler. That was the full term. But yeah. You'll just, if you Google it, you'll just see lots of pies. Wow. And that's all you really need to know.
I've got that to look forward to.
Yeah. There's some moments in this show, definitely.
Yeah, I've been listening to the Better Call Saul Insider podcast. They did one for Breaking Bad while that was on. And there's some cool little nuggets of information that you can find out from that. It normally has like Vince Gilligan, Peter Gould, the creators, Bob Odenkirk's on there. The guy who plays, I forget his name, but the guy with the van, he's on it, and a couple of the editors, and the director of that episode. So there's quite a few of them doing it.
Is he called Nacho?
No, Nacho's the real villain guy.
Yeah.
But the guy with the glasses who was selling the drugs
with the weird Humvee that's like all tricked out.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're on there. And also, there's another podcast called The Ones Who Knock, which is the guy who does the Slash Filmcast and Joanna Robinson, who's a writer for Vanity Fair. and they go into it in great detail, more than's probably necessary. But I end up listening to podcasts more than I like for longer than the actual episode. It's ridiculous, but what do you do on the commute and all that?
The thing about watching it though is it's a bit like watching Titanic, where you know what's going to happen at the end. You know there's going to be like his career is just going to slide down the fucking pan to the point that he breaks bad and becomes like a proper criminal lawyer. So you're waiting for that moment to happen, and it keeps you guessing and keeps feeding you these little nuggets of maybe that's how his downfall happens. But at the moment, they're still building him up, aren't they? Well, at least up until episode 2.
Yeah, I think what I appreciate it so much is that it kind of just reminds me of the way that Breaking Bad went in terms of like the pace of it. The fact that like an episode might only have like 5 scenes in it because they're just so like milking every subtlety out of the performances. Like the whole relationship between Saul and Chuck is just it's delicious, isn't it? Like there's
the weight of
like,
it.
There's so I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to spoil it for Marcus. But
that's all right. I can take the headphones off.
No, it's cool. No, I don't feel the need to get into specifics really. But the payoff in the first season between them two is what made it one of my top 5 films of the year. Not films, TV shows. Sorry. But yeah, I loved it, and I think this is just going to be more of that. So bring it on. Do we want to talk about The Walking Dead? Have we watched much of that so far? The latest season?
I haven't seen yesterday's, but
I'm up to date.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'm up to date too. I'm now. It's like appointment viewing for me every Monday whenever it's on, because I got spoiled at the end of last year.
Because you should have stayed up to date, right? Like it's your own fault.
I was told like that Game of Thrones. If you don't watch it day one, it's fair game. It's gonna get spoiled because there's just too many people watching it.
Well, we're gonna be watching it tonight, pretty much after I'm done here.
Cool.
Would have watched it if I got back.
Well, if you didn't watch it last night, then I guess it's fair game. So we're going to tell you what happens.
No!
To be fair, without even spoiling a thing, this one was it was more of a plot mechanics setting things up a bit sort of one.
Two real crazy ones. So
yeah, I mean so the mid-season premiere had the whole big fight in Alexandria, and I was just thinking there's too many people in this show, and then it all went pear-shaped.
Then there weren't.
Yeah, so they dealt with that in a kind of pretty blunt way, I thought, and we got to see a homage to the comics that had been much delayed, apparently, right, John?
Yep. Yeah, I think so anyway. I mean, I read them so long ago now that I can't remember the exact order that everything happens in, but yeah, the minor accident that Carl has, yes, that's been coming for a while now.
Yeah, I remember. I think you messaged me over a picture.
Yeah. It's like they really overdid it in the comic, and people were writing in and saying like, you can't fucking kill him. Like he's just a child. It's ruined the whole thing. And they're like, yeah, but we didn't kill him. But the art was. Yeah, maybe a bit over the top, but we really loved it, so we put it in anyway. And it's like half his fucking head's gone in the comic.
I think I saw that as well. You can just see like a hole.
Yeah.
And he's just looking like, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's got his mouth open, like all surprised.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's completely unbelievable that he could have survived it. It was a bit, it's played down a bit in the TV show. It's bad, but it's not quite as bad as that.
Well, thankfully, they had the time jump, which I was so happy about because I was just like, oh, Carl's in a bad way. Are we going to have a repeat of season 2? But, they just did that jump cut, and I thought, awesome, that's brilliant. Like that's 2 things in 2 weeks they've done where they could have easily gone the old way and just boring.
Dragged it out for 4 episodes or something.
Hang around in the hospital for 5 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, but
Are
instead
you gonna be okay, Carl?
Yeah, all that, and we've had some sexy time with Rick and Michonne. That's like,
or
I guess that they've kind of been
calling them now, Mick.
Is that in the comics as well?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
And did that happen ages ago?
Well, yeah, in comic terms, like years ago, but yeah, I can't remember when exactly. About at this point, just before they make it to the next location, sort of thing.
So that must have been quite a payoff for you then, those first 2 episodes, to have all that going on.
Yeah, and the latest episode as well. There's when they make it to the next spot, that was kind of cool to see how that all played out.
Oh, cool. And, okay.
Yeah, meeting Jesus was good as well.
Yeah, so I was going to say, they've just introduced this new character who, the way they introduced him, I was kind of like, this guy's probably fairly significant or going to be hanging around for a bit.
Cut. His beard is trimmed.
Yeah. He looks like someone they cast who might have a bit of a fan base built up around. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he's got like in the comics, he's you see that he's a martial artist in this, but in the comics he was like a fucking proper full on ninja sort of thing.
Oh god!
So
right.
He's if he'd have kicked Rick or Daryl, I can't remember which one it was that gets landed on, but in the comics he would have been out for like 24 hours sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
All right then.
So they've downgraded him a little bit.
Yeah. So far so good then for the second half of season 6 of The Walking Dead. Probably best move on before we spoil too much of it.
Yeah.
I've been watching a couple of things that I'm not sure you guys have. I started watching Vinyl, which is the new HBO show from Martin Scorcese and Mick Jagger and Terence Winter, who wrote The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire. So obviously that's got me written all over it. I had to check it out, even though it was quite late when I put the pilot on, whenever it was, and I saw that it had a 2-hour running time, and I just was like, fuck it, I'm watching it now. I don't care. And it's really good. Like the basic setup. It's set in the 70s. Our main man, who's played by, I cannot remember off the top of my head, but he was a villain in Boardwalk Empire for 1 season. Bobby Cannavale is his name, and he's basically he runs a record company in the 70s, and there's a whole kind of team of misfits that work at the office. The soundtrack is typical of the time. It also seems as though, because I've seen a couple of stories leak from the 3rd episode, which I haven't watched yet, and it's got Alice Cooper in it. Someone playing Alice Cooper, because there's a young Led Zeppelin in the premiere, and there was who was in the, can't remember who was in the second one, but it was like Joy Division or something, or an equivalent of. So that was quite cool. You've also got in it Olivia Wilde plays his wife,
cool.
And she's cool. There's a lot of, they've kind of, even though it's kind of about the music industry, they kind of make the record company people out as almost like gangsters. There's a moment of ultra violence and a set piece at the end of the premiere which is verging on surrealism, but it's just such a spectacular thing to see. It's like, it's awesome. And so it's really well made, really good acting. There's I don't want to say too much. I think you'll agree with me when you check it out that it's pretty decent.
We'll do a recap once we've all watched it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it lasts, I mean, I'm in for the long haul. I think it's 10 episodes, and yeah, I'm definitely in for the long haul. And hopefully, if you guys get into it, we can do a bit of a recap later, or who knows, maybe we'll still be talking about it at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really recommend that. Has anyone else? Yeah, anyone been watching anything else?
I've still been watching Agent Carter.
The latest season.
Yeah, It's come back.
How is that working out? Because they've relocated to LA, haven't they?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's got a sort of like a big bad element plot thing going on at the moment, and it seems to be weirdly tying up to some things that are happening in a show that I'm also watching that everyone else has dumped. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I kind of just stack episodes and then watch them every now and then. But a lot of the stuff that's happened in that, which has been linked to the birth of Hydra and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has started adding lore to their stories. I'm not used to it. It's normally just cheesy schlock. But it's actually
that's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been going into like the birth of Hydra and all this sort of stuff. So it's become, I think it's trying to legitimize itself, for lack of a better term. But
I heard they were spinning off of that.
Yeah, I know. I really hope they stop, because it's only just started to get its foot in. The last thing it needs is to start spreading out, because you think, well, it's taking you 3 series to get somewhere, and now you're going to go nowhere. But Agent Carter seems to be delving into that, because obviously it's to do with the birth of S.H.I.E.L.D., the whole thing. Yeah. Because they're in the SSR, strategic, something or other, I don't know, whatever it's called. And it's got a burn sort of icon. But yeah, it's still very similar to how it started, which I'm absolutely loving. I just think it's such a fun series to watch.
I think it's getting a longer run this time, isn't it?
I think
it was only like 6 episodes the first lot, which I really enjoyed. I liked how it had that kind of Captain America thing going on, because it's set back
the 1920s. It's still very much got that, and the fact that Jarvis is still very much a part of it. And it's really quite cool. You actually got to meet Mrs. Jarvis.
Oh, right,
she's not what you expect. It's pretty cool. It's quite nice, and it's just continually growing and growing. I'm not going to give too much away in case you kind of do get around to it, but I'd just say if you enjoyed the first series, it's very much more of the same, and I think it's going to probably get, I would hope, another 2 more and then maybe stop, because I don't imagine it going on too long after that.
I wouldn't put it past Fox or whoever, or ABC.
I know, but I just think, well, you know, where the ultimate thing is going to go, there's only going to be more references to Iron Man or something, because you've got Howard Stark in it, and you've got references to S.H.I.E.L.D., so that's about it. It can't really go anywhere else. But it's fun, nonetheless.
Cool. John, you been watching anything we haven't covered so far?
Yeah, I've been watching this show called Spotless, which I won't talk about it too much, because I don't think it's that easily to get hold of right now. You can buy it on DVD, but that's about it.
Right.
But yeah, it's set in London, and it's a story of a guy called Jean, who's a French dude, lives in London with his beautiful wife and his kids, and he's got a great life doing running a crime scene cleaning company.
Nice.
And so he goes along and sort of deals with like pools of blood and all that kind of stuff. And then one day his brother Martin shows up in the middle of the night and asks if he can stay for a couple of days. And it turns out that he has been getting involved with some dodgy folks over in France. He's always been a bit of a criminal, and he's basically turned up at his brother's place, and his brother hears him in the middle of the night dragging something in. So he goes out and says, "What the hell are you doing? You're waking up the neighbours. Why are you dragging this fridge in?" And it turns out he's got a dead girl's body inside this fridge. And so he freaks out, like, what's going on? And he's like, no, I didn't kill her. She's a drug mule, and she's one of the heroin balloons has burst inside of her, and she's OD'd. And he's decided that what he's going to do is just chuck her in a van in a fridge and drive over to England and steal the heroin that's inside of her. So yeah, as you can imagine, it all goes hilariously wrong and downhill from there as they spiral deeper into this world of crime that neither of them are cut out for. It's brilliant, really. I think it's really, really good. But like I say, it's a bit of a sleeper. I think it'll probably get picked up by, maybe it'll end up on Netflix and people will start watching it. But yeah, at the moment it's a bit of an underground hit, I think.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like a sort of black comedy caper of some kind. Like,
yeah, it's a complete fiasco, sort of black comedy, like you say. Yeah, it's
Awesome.
black as night.
Cool. Oh, well, I'll keep an eye out for that, definitely. I just wanted to quickly mention one more thing, and that's 11/22/63. I was very fortunate when I was in America the other day to watch the first 2 episodes of it.
Cool.
And it's coming out over here on Fox UK in April. But
Nice.
basically, at the moment, it's an event series on Hulu exclusive in the States. And basically it stars James Franco as a teacher dude who is mates with Chris Cooper, who works in a diner. And in the back of this diner is a wardrobe that transports people back to 1960. Chris Carter basically tells James Franco's character that he needs to go and prevent the assassination of JFK. And so he does. But the thing is, it transports you 1960, so he's got to be over there for 3 years. So Chris Cooper's like, it sort of flashes back to Chris Cooper's character telling him like what he should do. And sometimes James Franco's character doesn't do what he's told.
Does he shit in his hand?
And he's a bit not. No, this is quite a reined in project for Franco. It's pretty down the line, really. But it's kind of like Back to the Future, but it's based on a Stephen King book, so it's got a very Stephen King aesthetic, and the characters are very much that way. Like, for example, he's a little bit reckless with his money. Chris Cooper basically gives him a load of sports results that he can go and gamble on, but it's kind of up to him to kind of make those bets in the shadiest places possible, and ends up getting in a little bit of trouble doing that. He's told like to not stick out too much. He ends up buying a yellow Cadillac, and ends up like they sort of sow the seeds of where it's kind of going to go immediately in the first scene of the show, and he ends up going over and trying. It's like a little submission he tries to do in the second episode, and that's
side quest.
Yeah, like a little side quest. It's 8 episodes, so yeah.
Nice.
But it's cool. It's got like that whole fish out of water thing, where he's obviously not of that time. It's like, oh, better not drop my iPhone sort of thing, that kind of thing, because all his stuff comes with him. But the one thing that I don't understand is how he gets back, because there's a bit of that going on in the pilot, and they don't really explain how you go back. Do you have to just go and find the wardrobe or what? I don't know. So yeah, but you don't need to worry about that too much, because the rest of it's really good. I think so far.
Cool.
Nice.
Looking forward to seeing more of it.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's really good. I think you guys would do it.
The premise of it sounds nuts. You think James Franco going back to the 60s? That just sounds like it could go horrendously wrong.
Oh yeah, and he like bumps into people because he transports to the exact same place.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of people that he knows who are old, he's meeting the younger versions of them.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot to mine from that, I think. I don't know how much of a direct translation it is of the book, whether they've embellished on it quite a bit or it's quite faithful. But Stephen King's producing it, so
Nice.
Cool.
It's in good hands. So I hope you've enjoyed this especially serious Not Watching podcast in partnership with notlistening.co.uk, where you can also hear myself and Ian talk about video games and virtual reality on the Not Playing podcast, and Adam, Ash and Will talk about all manner of much less serious things on the Not Listening podcast. You can email us at notwatchingpodcast@gmail.com, or you can tweet at or follow us on Twitter at notwatchingpod. You can find the show notes for this show at notlistening.co.uk, and if you're listening to us on iTunes, then please do give us a review. Anyway, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. See ya!
Bye.